Okay, good afternoon. Now I'm going to discuss the final bracha of Shemona Esrei, the bracha of Shalom, of peace. I'm going to do it. I'm going to explain how Rabbi Ezra Bick explains about it. I'm going to put a little bit of my own twist on it, and I hope it's going to really bring out what Rabbi Ezra Bick is trying to say. So the theme of the bracha is Shalom. It's Sim Shalom, and we end Hamavarkas Am Yisrael Bas Shalom. Shalom, generally, we understand to mean the opposite of war. The pasuk says Eis Milchama ve'Eis Shalom, to contrast the two. So that's generally how we understand it. Now, clearly, this is a request. That's how the bracha is formulated, as a request. So we also have to understand, why are we mentioning it now? Why not in the section of bakashas? Why are we mentioning it only at the end when we're leaving the Rabbanu Shalom, so to speak? Why are we doing? Why is it at this time? So what is this notion of peace? What does it actually mean? So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my own words, a little bit of Rabbi Ezra Bick, and we'll start with the Akedah Sretzak, Rabbi Yitzchak Aramu, who discusses the concept of peace in regard to Berchas Kayanim, actually. But his main argument is that peace should not be defined as a negative, meaning in a negative manner, like the absence of conflict. That can't be the best way to describe it. The Chacham say that Shalom is Hashem's name. It's seen as a seal of all brachos. So he has a lot of rayas, but among others, he says the question posed by David to Uriah Hachiti when he left the battlefield and came to Yerushalayim. He said to David, he asked, Vayishal David l'shloim yoya v'l'shloim ha'am v'l'shloim ha'melchama. The shalom of the melchama. What's the peace of the war? What does that mean? Peace. What does that mean? Peace is the opposite of war, like we just explained. But shalom, really, we know means that the end of war means that there will be peace, but most instances of the word shalom in Tanakh are not in context of battle at all. And the Akedah Sretzak argues that shalom doesn't mean peace, it means the harmonious working together of distinct and individual parts in such a way to form a unified and functioning whole. So it's taking different pieces and putting them together. Shalom, complete, whole. So in a social setting, for example, there's a blending of a lot of individuals and their goals and aspirations, and making the whole society operate harmoniously. That's the peace of the entire world. The peace of the entire world is the Ribono Shel Olam. Only the Ribono Shel Olam can provide the framework and the inclusive totality to bind together all these private individual creations. Now, each individual creation, just to expand on this idea for a minute, it has its own purpose and its own ends. The Chacham emphasized, the Gemara says, just like everyone's face is different, so too everyone's personality is different. The desire for a unity that nullifies all differences, that just we take our differences and put them aside, that doesn't have a place really in Judaism. In Judaism, we say we need everybody to be different. We want everybody to be different. It's that we have to take everybody's differences and kind of blend them together to get to that peace, which is something that is really so difficult for us, maybe impossible for us to do down on earth. But the Ribono Shel Olam, whose name is Shalom, his essence is Shalom. Reb Soloveitchik used to say that Hashem, in his very unity, is the reconciliation between din and rachamim and shalom and emes, and between all the midas which appear to us to be contradictory. The Ribono Shel Olam is the reconciliation of those contradictions. It's the peace of the Ribono Shel Olam. We daven now, we are davening that something of that peace, that part of that peace, can be reflected in our world as well. We know that the Ran says that the value and merit of community in the Jewish people, each individual brings his own attributes and virtues and balances other people's shortcomings within the whole. That's what Judaism is about. That's what our community is about. That's the true unity of creation. In Havdalah we say Bayrei Ma'orei Ha'esh. We don't say the light of the fire, we say the lights of the fire, because fire, which ends the week, is made up of many fires, many colors, and that is what lights up the darkness, the fact that we're all different. Now, since Hashem is one, his creation is also one, and the fact remains true, even though creation brings with it differences, it doesn't make a difference. We're all one. Overall unity is preserved in the unity of the Ribono Shel Olam. That's what Shalom means, a harmonious unity of different parts. Now, that's the reason that this bracha seems to hover on the border of almost unrealizable ideal. On the one hand, peace is the true state of creation. On the other hand, it exists in reality only in the Ribono Shel Olam. So what we're asking for is peace, in contrast to all the themes of the other brachas in the Shemona Esrei, is called here Bishleimecha, your peace, Hashem's peace. Peace comes only ba'ar panacha, by Hashem's countenance. countenance. We know that we need it, and at the same time, it's not something that can be requested in the usual manner of requests. We're not asking for a particular gift over here. We're not asking for a specific thing. We're asking for the harmony of all other gifts. Not a present, but the harmony of all of them. So when we're taking leave of the Rebbeinu Shalom now, at the end of Shemona Esrei, we try and take some of that higher state of existence with us back to this fragmented world that we live in. Barchenu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. We're emphasizing specifically the nature of peace. On the one hand, the bracha of peace has to include all of us. Kulanu. That's not a regular formulation in that we've been having in Shemona Esrei, but it's an emphasis that the content of the bracha should apply to all of us. But on the other hand, it's all of us as one. Kulanu Ke'echad. It's a bracha of harmony. And that's what we're davening for when we say Sim Shalom, to take all of us and all of our amazing strengths and all of our differences that we have, but to fuse all of them into unity that we so desperately want and need.